And welcome back to the Hotline. We are talking our Italian Grand Prix preview. Yes, it is a week away. It's a week gap between Grand Prix. Can Ferrari come back after what was an absolute disaster of a Dutch Grand Prix with a double DNF? Leclerc couldn't help it. Hamilton, yeah, he probably couldn't. He's got a penalty. So it is officially race week once again as we go home to the home of Ferrari, the home of speed, one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, Monza, and also that everyone's going to tell you very hard to overtake, apparently. There is a reason this time why it is hard to overtake, but as we said, we hear it on every track. It's like, okay, it's hard to overtake. We get it. On the poster, obviously Hamilton, Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli, and then Gasly. Okay, I don't know why they've got Gasly on the poster, but fair enough. I mean, he's won the Italian Grand Prix before the Toro Rosso. There we go. We found the reason Gasly's on the poster. Let's move on. Now, we spoke about this the other day. Lewis Hamilton has a 5-place grid penalty. It sucks. I don't think he should have a 5-place grid penalty. He deserved the penalty for his yellow flag infringement. But it wasn't even offered to him, was it? There were many silly reasons, and it's just, yeah, okay. Deserves the penalty, potentially not at Monza. It's a bit weird. Now, you imagine, kind of like Michael Schumacher did, I think, with Bruno Senna all those years back in Spain. You now imagine if he ends up getting pole position at Monza. I don't think so, with the Ferrari, but you never know. It's not going to be pole position. It's going to be 6th is going to be the best position he can do, which is kind of sad. Now, let's have a look at the whole Lando Oscar Piastri thing. Piastri currently has a 34-point lead over Norris, a gap. And we did a video yesterday, so it's kind of contravening that. But they're saying it's only been closed in 3 seasons to become champion. 2022, Verstappen was 46 points behind Leclerc. In 2012, Vettel was 44 behind Alonso. And in 1976, James Hunt was 35 points behind Lauda. The caveat to the James Hunt one is obviously Lauda went missing, didn't he, after the Nürburgring for a while and caught up. With Vettel, it was absolutely brilliant, and with Verstappen, that was very much near the beginning of the season, and Ferrari completely imploded in 2022, hence that particular reason. No rain is expected for Monza. So the temperature is going to be between 25 and 27 degrees centigrade all weekend. No rain is expected, and as we can see, a beautiful shot of the Parabolica. And speaking of Parabolicas, etc., let's have a look at that Italian Grand Prix track. So, the Italian Grand Prix, available on Sky Sports and anywhere else, but let's have a look at it, one of the meccas of Grand Prix racing by looking at that track, shall we? Here is our track guide. Now, as we come in here, we're in a Ferrari. We're kind of like a sort of a Lewis Hamilton. Let's begin. As we've just come out the Parabolica, we are down the straight, nice and fast, heading to the Rettifilia, which is that first chicane. Brakes, I think they brake now at the 100 mark almost. I think we ended up braking almost near the 50. Now you want to keep it nice. It's like threading a needle, because what you don't want is a load of Worswood coming out of the chicane into the Curva Grande, which is flat these days very easily. You sometimes see 2 cars side by side here as we're now braking for the Variante della Roggia. You see cars side by side here as well. I think Vettel spun out one year, didn't he, as well? Now into the double Lesmos. Lesmo number 1. They are slightly different. And then you've got Lesmo number 2 that always feels, I think, for me, Lesmo 2 always feels a bit different. I don't know whether it is or not, but into the very long straight as we come into the Variante Ascari and Curva del Vivellone. Oh, I probably got that wrong. But here's the Variante, the one where Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel spun, not with each other, but they're almost in sympathy. And as we now come to, this is one corner in any Formula 1 game that I find tremendously difficult. But it's the Parabolica. I think they've given it another name. It's the Parabolica, guys. Come on, let's be honest. We got this completely wrong, but you need to, get it really right. Accelerate as early as you can so you don't lose all of that speed going all the way down the start-finish straight. To do it quite a number of times more. We'll tell you in a bit how many times more it is when we're going to have a look at the track stats. And let's do that. So, the Monza track stats. It's 53 total laps with 11 turns. Yeah, a lot of them chicanes. First opened in 1922. F1 visited this place in 1950. 74 races held. Now, a track record of a 118.887 from Lewis Hamilton in 2020. But a lap record, Rubens Barrichello, all the way back in 2004 in a Ferrari 121.046. Now, it's hosted more races than any other F1 circuit. In total, 74 races, with 1980 the only season where the Italian Grand Prix wasn't held at this track. During that time, we have 40 drivers that have won a race. Schumacher and Hamilton share the most wins at the track with 5 apiece. Hamilton, Alonso, Leclerc, Gasly and Verstappen are the 5 drivers on the comment grid that have won the Italian Grand Prix. Now here's a list for you. Fangio, Moss, Phil Hill, Ronnie Peterson, Nelson Piquet, Damon Hill, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are the 8 drivers that have won back-to-back wins at the circuit. And Fangio is the only driver to have won a race at this track in 3 consecutive seasons. But his driver's not too bad. They've won more races here than any other nation, with the Brits standing on the top step of the podium a total of 21 times. Now, the longest streak of winners at Monza is 8, which has happened twice. 8 different drivers won in consecutive seasons between 1966 of that year, English footballers will know, and 1973, and then again between 75 and 83. Not bad at all. So let's then have a look at the drivers and who we think is going to do well in Monza. We're going to do it in order of our drive of who we thought did really bad to the really, really good at the Dutch Grand Prix. And sadly, we start with this guy here, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, it's quite apt, really, because he has a 5-place grid penalty. Now, will the Ferrari go well here? Well, one of the reasons it's really hard for overtaking, to be fair, they make a kind of a point here, is you got DRS, but because the wings are so low, the drag is so little, drag reduction system, anyone? When you don't have much drag, you're not going to get really that much speed. You do get slipstreams, though, obviously, but again, not as much as you normally would because of the wing levels. Having said that, you can overtake it if you get close enough with everything involved. It is possible, and we've seen it happen. They say every circuit's hard to overtake. I think the one circuit that really is, I think Monaco, maybe Singapore at a time. But there we go. Lewis Hamilton. So a 5-place grid penalty. The max he can start is 6th. This is assuming he gets out of Q1 and Q2. I don't think he's going to go nowhere near pole, but it wouldn't surprise me. Ferrari may well be potentially best of the rest behind the Mercedes, but we know that Red Bull and their DRS system, albeit, yes, I know, the DRS doesn't mean as much here. Red Bull again could potentially be very fast here as well. They challenge McLaren. I do think potentially, yes. If we had different weather in in Holland, maybe that would have happened as well. And if you remember here, Gasly won in 2020. Gasly most certainly did not have the fastest car, but he won because basically the safety car, etc. I mean, things happened to help him win. It was a brilliant win, though. And the same can be said of the Italian Grand Prix here. You know, a safety car at the wrong time could completely change. And if it's as hard to pass as everyone says it is, maybe track track position even, is going to be key. Now, Kimi Antonelli, this is a man that very much needs a good weekend because he's not getting a good weekend at the moment, is he? He's been absolutely shocking. Let's be honest, I love the guy. I want him to do well, but he's one of the worst rookies. When you look at the other rookies that we've had, okay, Colapinto, meh, doing meh. But then you get Bortoletto, yes, very good. Hadjar, yes, very good. Behrman, I'd argue Behrman, bearing in mind, no pun intended, he's in a house. He's probably more impressive than Kimi Antonelli as well. But now we are at his home Grand Prix. And he's the one that hit out Charles Leclerc. So it's going to be, I don't think the Ferrari fans are going to boo him, but it'll be interesting. This is where he made his debut as well. And this is where he made his debut whoops-a-daisy into the Parabolica by taking a bit too much speed. But it's going to be really interesting to watch him. So we've got Pierre of the Gasly. Yeah, very average weekend in Holland, as you know. This guy has won before. The weird thing is about the Alpine, it's such an up and down team. You never know. Going into each weekend, you never really know what Alpine you're going to get. These guys could be as high as 6th, 7th, or completely at the back. And I would say almost the same could be said of the Sauber. It's going to be interesting to see how good they are under this low downforce. With the last Monza where they're going to have an Italian engine because they're Audi next year. It's going to be interesting, and I think Hülkenberg, ever since, and we've said this I think almost every time, ever since his podium in the UK, he's not been particularly good. And this guy's, I can't help but think this guy's more or less kind of outshone him a bit. But anyway, I digress. I think they could do okay. They can nab a point or two, potentially. Next up, we've got Colapinto, the man who hasn't scored points yet. The only current driver who hasn't scored points yet. If you take away, you can include Doyle in that as well, but he's not driving. He nearly got a point at the Dutch Grand Prix, but still, very average. Absolute bang average at the moment in terms of what he's doing. So I can't see anything different from here. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do. Now we've got Mr. Ocon, who had a really, really solid drive at the Dutch Grand Prix. Once again, it's a very different track, so it's going to be interesting to see what Haas can do here. Again, kind of like the Alpine team. I'm not really sure how good they're going to be. Fingers crossed. Once again, these are people, because it's so close in that midfield, these are the people that may well be able to get some kind of points at the tail end of the points. Now, this is a really interesting one, which I'll get to in a minute, because the next guy was actually meant to be Carlos Sainz. But let's talk about Alonso. He did really well at the Dutch Grand Prix, and when you look in the practice, and then they both Aston Martins really flattered to deceive. Lance Stroll did better in the end. Yeah, he did have an amazing race, and I had to eat some humble pie. Sadly, they are well known for quite a draggy car, so they may very well be near the back, which is kind of sad. But as for Williams, I think that could be quite interesting to see what Carlos Sainz does. Had a disastrous race, not his fault, when Liam Lawson hit him and Carlos Sainz got the penalty. Ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. We most certainly noted that in the video. It was abysmal. It was really, really silly. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I think Williams, they've been known to do quite well with their straight line speed, albeit they're not as straight line speed as they used to be, and they are a much better all round team. But I think they can most certainly nab some points. As for Liam Lawson, he's kind of like head up and down. He's looking good, then he looks kind of like average, then Hadjar outshines him. Yeah. This is once again a circuit that he's going to know, because I believe he raced here last year, didn't he? And in his sort of like rookie-ish year when he replaced Daniel Ricciardo, but that was after Singapore. So he knows the circuit. I think he might do quite well. It's going to be interesting. He's going to really have to match Hadjar, because everyone loves Hadjar at the moment. And they say you're only as good as your last race. And at least Tsunoda scored some points in the last race. He was, once again, very average. Very close to Verstappen at Spa. I think at Hungary as well, because of he's now allowed, thankfully, the new floor that they have at Red Bull. So I fully expect Tsunoda I'd like to think, with the Red Bull, I do think that Red Bull's fast in a straight line. He should be getting some points. Should be getting into Q1. I'll be very disappointed if he doesn't. This is another guy who I think will be at the back end of Q1, and most certainly at the back end of points. If you want a midfielder that's going to score points, I'd probably say Alex Albon is one of your favourites for sure. Next up, Charles Leclerc. The man won last year and sent Italy apoplectic. It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Beating the two McLarens. The two McLarens beat each other up at the first couple of corners, and it was all about Charles Leclerc with Piastri's very good lunge. But if you got a teammate gunning for the Drivers' World Championship, which you did at the time, what you're doing. But there we go. So Charles Leclerc, is he going to win this time? I don't think so. They could always bring a surprise. It is Ferrari. It is Monza. Monza magic, as it did last year, clearly exists. Probably worth a bet, but I don't think they're the favourites. I mean, I would put this guy above Charles Leclerc. I'd probably say he's my third favourite to win the race, because he's in the Red Bull, and I think once again that Red Bull's going to be fast in a straight line, is Max Verstappen. And he knows there's going to be few places, very limited, to try and win a race. And if race pace is looking good here, it's going to be really interesting. The tyres seem to be okay here. The acceleration zones do kind of test them a bit, but there's no massively, there's not as many really hard corners where you're going to really hurt the tyres. So what used to be the case in the old pit stop days, you used to fuel it up as much as it would go, because the tyre deg was obviously, you know, less deg than the amount of fuel that you were losing, and you were getting faster and faster with a lighter car. It's going to be, I think, it's going to be similar, although I know they fuel the cars all the way to the end. So that's Verstappen. Let's talk about Lance Stroll, who had a very good Dutch Grand Prix, but a very average qualifying. I'm not expecting much, really, if I'm honest. I hope you prove me wrong, though, and eat more humble pie, Lance. So on to Lando Norris. The heartbreak for Lando Norris at the Dutch Grand Prix. I think he's my favourite to win the Italian Grand Prix. Two things are going to happen now. One of two things in relation to Lando Norris. Number one, he's either going to absolutely crumble and Piastri's just won this championship outright very easily. Or number two, he's now in his own head. He's so far away from the championship. He's going to think, I'm absolutely going to go for it. I've got nothing to lose. Now, I think that's the Lando we're going to have. I'd like to think, and I hope we see the absolute best of Lando in the next 3 or 4 races, irrespective of what Piastri does. And if Lando can win from now more races than Piastri, okay, he might be the moral victor of the championship, but he won't be. I don't think he's going to be the champion. I think something, because both McLaren drivers are so close, something needs to happen to Piastri. Not that I want it to, in order to even it out. One of the best drivers of the year so far, George Russell. He's been so consistent, getting those podiums, winning in Canada. He's been absolutely fantastic. And I think that will continue in Monza. The Mercedes in this era haven't really been that amazing at Monza. Could he sneak a podium? Absolutely he could. But I'm looking at, like, between maybe 3rd and 6th, he's possibly going to be. Maybe. So let's talk about Oscar Piastri, the winner of the Dutch Grand Prix, and maybe has one fingertip on that World Championship as we're speaking. I think he'll get beaten by Lando. Being in the lead of the championship with that much of a lead, I mean, you can kind of like risk it all, and it doesn't matter. Or it's going to make you really nervous. What Oscar are we going to see at Monza? I think he's favourite to finish either 1st or 2nd. I think he'll get 2nd to Lando Norris, but we shall see. So, 2 more to go. Ollie Bearman in Italy. I think he'll do really well. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bearman can do. It's going to depend on the Haas. So, I think he's done really well. Yes, Ocon has beaten him so far overall this year. That's going to give him a lot of confidence, though, that Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix. And I think he'll have, compared to Ocon, I think he'll have the slightly better weekend. We'll see. Last but not least, Isaac Hadjar in the V car. I think he will have another good weekend. I don't think he'll get a podium. I do feel something's going to have to happen for him to get a podium. Something major is going to have to happen for him to get a podium. Not impossible, though, as we know. Not impossible. But I think he'll do well. But in terms of the favourites, it's going to be one. It's more than likely going to be one of those 2 McLaren drivers, isn't it? So I guess we're most certainly going to have our fingers crossed for an exciting race nonetheless. And the Dutch Grand Prix was very much exciting. So if you made it to the end, then please give us a subscribe. That would be amazing. If you're not subscribed, to be fair, that you just watching this is more than enough for us. But until then, thank you very much. We will speak to you soon. And above all else, stay safe.